Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to be taking a look at and reacting to the Korean YouTuber Ongbal's All Bosses Epic Montage for the game Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which is a game that I've really enjoyed playing, and I figured that I would react to his rendition of all of the boss fights and give a little bit of insight for people who might be confused as to what's happening. So, a big shout out to Ongbal, and I'll link his channel and this video in the description. Also, just a bit of a spoiler alert before we get into the video. This video is probably going to contain a lot of spoilers, both in terms of gameplay and maybe lore for the game. So if you are wanting to play the game yourself and you don't want any spoilers, then I would suggest just skipping over this video for now. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is discuss the UI a bit, which can probably be a bit confusing if you are not exactly sure what's happening. So basically, there are a couple of elements. The boss HP bar in the top left, and there are two circles above it in this case, which means that the boss has two health bars that you need to get rid of in order for the full kill. In this case, one is already grayed out, so we're going to run the second phase of the boss. At the very top of the boss's posture bar, once that gets full, you can instantly death blow it to take out one of his HP bars. Can deplete posture a number of ways, whether by dealing damage to the boss directly or by deflecting the boss's attack. Now, in terms of our posture bar, we can see it at the very bottom of the screen here. Same deal. If our posture bar gets broken, we get staggered for an amount of time. And something very interesting you'll notice is our health bar, or in this case, well, Ongbal's health bar in the bottom left is very small, and that's because he's playing on base vitality, which means it's the very is when you start a new game, that's the health that you started with, and he has no health upgrades on his health bar. You'll also notice that well, I want you to pay special attention to the first two of these icons. The first one indicates that he's playing Charmless, which is an option that you unlock in New Game Plus, where you can give Kudo's charm back to him, and this causes the game to become much more difficult, although enemies will drop more loot and more experience. Basically, now you'll take damage from blocking, and the enemy's vitality and posture will increase. You'll take more damage in general, and you'll also get faster status effect buildup with negative status effects like poison or burn. You'll also notice the second icon, which indicates that he has rung the demon bell and received the bell demon, which makes the game even harder by increasing the enemy's health and posture more, and you take even more damage, but you receive more loot in exchange. So the thing to know about parrying in this game instead of blocking is that if you parry, you will still take posture damage, but your posture will never break, which is the important thing. In the lower left, we can see another component of the combat system, which is the quick items, which are limited use consumables that you can use during the fight. Then we have your prosthetic, which is a kind of special weapon that you can use at the cost of spirit emblems, which are these white or I guess off-white crosses in the bottom right. Each use of a prosthetic tool will use up some of those spirit emblems, so it kind of limits how much you can use in a given prosthetic. And then we have the combat art, which is a special combat technique that you can use. Some of them have spirit emblems and some of them don't. Along with a ninjutsu, which is a special technique that you can use after backstabbing an enemy. So yeah, that was a lot of information, but let's get into the first fight against Gyoubu Oniwa, who is the boss that guards the entrance to Ashina Castle. And he's probably the very first main boss you'll face. as a player, and he rides a horse. So let's see what happens. All right, so already some very interesting things happening in the area outside of the boss arena. So first we see ongbal backstab an enemy, and then use the bestowal ninjutsu, which gives you a higher range on your sword after you perform a backstab, and then he immediately uses a quick item called the ceremonial honcho, which gives you more spirit emblem, 5 more to be precise, at the cost of your vitality. But in this case, it doesn't really matter since he's doing a damageless run, and any hit would insta-kill him anyways, since he's on base vitality with Karma and Demon Bell. So now we see he's going to grapple up here into the arena, and the boss is going to come charging out of the castle gate, and we see right here at this moment he applies a quick item called Yakuriku's Trigger, which is a very powerful buff item that halves your vitality and your cluster, mixing for a huge damage buff. So here we go. The boss fight begins, and we see him immediately use the the Mortal Draw, and then we see him use the purple fume spark prosthetic, which is an upgrade of the firework. And basically, the gimmick with these is that they're a bit harder to time since they come out delayed, but deal, they make you deal more damage after you use them. So we see him use those, and then we see well, immediately go into the spiral cloud passage combat arc, which does a lot of damage to the boss, and he's already taken off the first health bar in I don't know what, like 10 seconds or something. So now we see him use the Okanaga's Flame Vent to stun the boss, and then go in for a couple of Sen throws. The Sen throws an upgrade to the Hurricane prosthetic, and it is basically a shotgun of coins that also consumes some of your money along with it. So now we're just going to have the fight continue. He's going to throw another handful of coins and then another, and he's just going to finish the boss off. And I mean, this is incredible. This was incredibly quick. And just like that, he is done with the first boss. So even though it was a short fight, there was a lot going on there. And it can be a bit confusing for the average viewer, probably. So now we're on to the second fight, which is against Lady Butterfly. She's a boss, an optional boss that you can find at the end of the Harada Estate area, which takes place inside of your own memory. So in the first phase here, we have the prosthetic of choice is going to be the Lazulite Shuriken, which is an upgrade to the Shuriken. It's also an end-game upgrade because all Lazuli upgrades for prosthetic tools require Lapis Lazuli, which there are only 6 of available in every playthrough. Uh, of those 6, 2 of them come from killing the Demon of Hatred boss. One of them comes from killing a Fisherman Warrior in the Fountain of Paladin. 2 of them can be bought from the Court Noble, also in the Palace area, and one of them is just given to you after you complete the Great Park quest line for the Gale Noble merchants. So the thing about the Lazulite Shuriken is that it does damage even through block, and Shurikens in general are very powerful in this. So he throws a shuriken, uses a Station Slice, which is a skill that you can get after you throw a shuriken, or if you follow it up. And then he uses Dragon Flash to knock her out of the air when she goes up into the air on her wires. And then a couple of Deflect Cypher, and she's already down. Um, So now we can walk to the center of the room uh, and get ready for the next part of the fight. Now, interestingly enough, he does not just instantly attack her, because normally in the game, if he lands at the face of the statue here, uh, it's usually I wonder why he did this. Maybe because he just wanted to reapply the Yakuriku's sugar buff. Um, but in game, I think for my first playthrough, when I was fighting Lady Butterfly, I would just wait at the base of that statue there. So once she drops down, you can instantly attack her and get some damage in, and also prevent her from summoning these apparitions, which are kind of the main thing that she does in the second phase. It's different from the first. So we'll see that she summons a bunch of these ghosts around ongbal, which uses the snap speed quick item to take care of. So now we're just into a bit of trading, deflect, and block. And here, I want to note something really quickly, which is that he summons these spirit orbs behind her, which are normally they deal quick damage through block, and they're really hard to deflect, especially if he's also hitting you at the same time. So he uses the snap seeds to dispel them, which I did not know that you can do, but you can see him do it here. And he just snaps them away, and then just resumes deflecting. There you can see that once he does a perilous, unblockable attack, in this case it's a sweep, he jumps over it, and then you can jump on top of the bottom and it deals some extra positive, I think like an extremely tiny bit of vitality damage as well. So now, again, the Dragon Flash when she jumps up into the air on her wire, and a bit more deflecting later, and he gets past Lady Butterfly easily. I mean, these fights are incredible. It's obvious that he has played the game a lot. He knows basically the ins and outs of every single boss movement. Um, so yeah, on to the third fight now. We're going to be facing Genichiro Ashina, who, for many players, I think is one of the big first roadblocks in the game. Mainly because he has three phases, a lot of different attacks, and he's kind of a boss that forces you to get good at the game. So we'll see how ongbal deals with Genichiro here. Um, there's a bit of a chain deflect going on here at the beginning that I've never really seen before. And then so he dodges through the arrow, uses the floating passive combat art. And then an interesting thing you'll notice him do against Genichiro's like massive 9-hit combo is that if we want it again, he'll deflect the first three hits, so one, two, three, and then he'll use the umbrella for the rest, except for the last one, which he also deflects. Um, and now we see him do the Makiri counter. So one thing about Genichiro in his first phase is that after he does that massive overhead slam, and you've deflected it, he will always go for a thrust, which is a men's counter with a Makiri counter, which is a skill that you unlock early on in the game that allows you to defend against thrust attacks by stepping on the blade, and it will do a lot of foster damage to the boss, and you can always hit them directly to the face afterwards if you so choose. In this case, he doesn't really need it because after he blocks and he Fury counters, then that's the first HP bar immediately gone. He immediately goes into the floating passage combat again, does the same thing, blocks the first three hits, or deflects the first three hits, and then umbrellas, and then deflects the last one. And then just keeps on using floating passive, deflecting the big overhead strikes. And then at second health bar gone, because of a Makiri camp, honestly. That's funny coincidence. Okay, here you can see that he reapplies Yasuriku's trigger in a way that's super funny, so that Genichiro, which is barely misses him, because in this third phase, he always starts out with a thrust, so I guess he just knew the range of that attack, and was able to reapply the Yasuriku's trigger just outside of the range, which is something that I thought was super fun. Alright, something interesting here is that Genichiro gains lightning in his third phase, which can be countered using the lightning reversal technique, which is when you jump up into the air as well to prevent the lightning from hitting you while your feet touch the ground, and then you just attack him again before you land back on the ground. But the problem with this is that during lightning reversals with just your sword, you actually take a bit of chip damage, which in this case would probably just straight up kill him. This is playing at with such a disadvantage. So in this case, he uses the Mist Raven prosthetic, which is one of my favorites, in order to counter the lightning without taking any damage. So we'll see that he goes into his Mist Raven stance, pushes the lightning, and is able to reverse it without taking any chip damage. So he goes back to spam floating passes, does the exact same thing. Although this time you'll note that Genichiro in his last phase, after he does this massive combo, will always go for a thrust, which you can always make here. One of the, I guess, quirks of this final phase, and then one more floating passage later, and Genichiro has been eliminated. So yeah, an incredibly clean fight. We see the umbrella prosthetic come out, which is very powerful, and we will see a lot more of it later on. So now we move on to the folding screen monkeys, which is a puzzle boss. We see him use Goshin Trigger, which is a consumable that allows you to be more sneaky. It increases your stealth. But this boss doesn't really pose any threat, really, in terms of just killing you, but it does pose a threat in terms of you wasting 30 minutes running around trying to kill these things. So the fact that he's able to take them out so quickly is very impressive. And the Gaussian trigger definitely helped with that to prevent the monkey from spotting him as he's running towards him. And now it's time for the Guardian Ape, a boss that gave me a bunch of trouble my first playthrough. But once you kind of know what is the trick to being it becomes fairly straightforward. So here we see him use firecrackers first to stun the mob. The firecracker prosthetic is really good against like beast type mobs because they startle them and cause them to be stunned. Uh, some examples include like the flaming bull, this box, the quartz, and also Yobu's horse is easily started by the firecracker as well. And then we see him use the empowered mortal draw combat art, which is the huge arcs of damage that deal an incredible amount of posture and vitality damage, even through block. It works even through block. And now he has successfully done the first phase, but the fight is not actually over. We see him use a Tonto again for some extra spirit emblems. Uh, and he's waiting for something, it seems, and that's because the Headless Corpse will stand up, and he uses the Empowered Mortal again. Something interesting is that you can see the corpse put the head up to its body to get ready for the Terror Scream attack, but he actually uses Mortal's Draw to cancel it, like the second swing, so that is very cool. The spear prosthetic is also used because when the ape falls over, you can use the spear to pull out the centipede and deal a massive amount of posture and vitality damage. So we see that perilous scream attack get canceled. He goes for a few deflects, and then at the end of this massive combo, we'll see the ape fall down, and then he uses the spear here to pull out the centipede, and the boss is basically finished. He just needs to use one more normal drone, and that is the boss easily dispatched. So there we have it. That was the headless, the Guardian Ape fight, and it's amazing how quick he does it. So now we see him use the Shaolin Ninjutsu once again to increase the range of his weapon, pops the Tonto, pops the Asteroid Goose Figure, and now he just spams the Spiral Cloud Passage combat art, which deals an insane amount of damage to this thing. I mean, it's just, his health has grown from 100 to 0 in like 5 seconds, and he easily gets the first phase. Now, this fight is one that I really dislike because of the 2-8 mechanic. But in this case, he just spams the firecrackers a couple times to deplete the brown ape's posture, which immediately takes it out. And now we just have to deal with this one ape, which we've definitely seen before. Uh, what we didn't see in the last time we fought Sky was the massive sweep, where he jumps super high up into the air. But after his massive sweep, he will, or his massive jump, where he does a sweep afterward, you can always jump over the sweep, and then he'll always do an attack that, if you deflect, will cause him to be stunned and just lay down on the ground, and then you can just poke him with your spear, and that's basically it. So, yeah, Headless Ape, a very weird fight that he just easily takes care of. Now we'll see the same pattern of using Asteroid Use Trigger, using the Bestow Ninjutsu, and using the Tonto, which are all things that are usually high risk, high reward, but in this case, since he can't get hit anyways, they're basically only reward. And this fight is very interesting because we see him pulling out the Ashina cross combat. And he also has the Lazulite Axe right now as a prosthetic, which can stun apparition times, like the False Corrupted One. Um, so we see him spam the Ashina cross, use the axe to stun it again, use the cross again, use the axe again, just basically keeping the boss perma-stun with his axe and the Ashina cross combat art. And there we see him use the Fistful of Ash, quick item, which does the same thing. It basically just stuns the boss. And so do the firecrackers. He's basically just keeping the boss perma-stun with the firecrackers, with the Fistful of Ash. He is repeatedly using the King Cross, and the boss goes down uh, very, very quickly. Now, normally with the apparition one, you need to take out its health bar to basically, I want to say, like about half before you can even really start dealing with its posture, because the posture bar of the monk has a really high regeneration. It regenerates super fast, but you have to deal damage to its health first to be able to give it a death blow. But here he just takes out his full health bar in like 10 seconds, so that is very impressive. Now, moving on, we're going to be taking on Great Shinobi Owl. Um, Here with this attack, the one where he throws one shuriken and then does a massive, like, sweeping hit to us. I did not ever really put the pieces together, but yeah, you can use the umbrella against it, and here we can see him use the projected force, prosthetic field, which where you can attack after being hit with the umbrella open, and it's that like fiery cross that you see him use to damage out. So uh, then we see him use a thrust here, which is very funny because this boss can actually make theory counter you. So if you thrust against him while he's just like standing in neutral or something like that, then he'll basically just insta kill you with the Materia Cap. So it's kind of funny that he uses it here as a sort of and then we're gonna see Owl toss out the anti-healing bomb, but ongbal doesn't really care because he's not gonna heal anyway, so he just uses Dragon Flash there for that massive bit of damage. And then we see him use it again after Owl with the double shuriken and then leap attack. And that's the first health bar gone. Um, so Owl's gonna fall down, ask us to wait. But of course, he's just trying to trick us, and he's gonna leap backwards and toss out this Tomoe. But we're not having any of it, so we're just gonna keep on smacking him with the Dragon Flash. And again, just repeated uses of it. So here we can see him trying to regain his posture. That's something that he can do is he'll, if he's far enough away from you, he'll try and you have basically regain his posture with a barred up buff thing. But here, Ongbal's used the Dragon Flash to interrupt his buff, and we can keep dipping him into his posture. So yeah, in this play, I think that it's really interesting how he uses the umbrella against the one shuriken and the big sweep. Because I will just deflect in there, but I think with the umbrella you can definitely do more damage than if you just deflect. And here we go, we're fighting Emma, of course, and we're using the Isshin double skill, which is probably one of the best combat arts because it allows you to recover posture as well as dealing a lot of posture damage to the enemy. But the final fight is really fairly straightforward. Thing to note is that her hitbox is much smaller than that of other bosses, which makes it kind of hard to see what's going on. Um, but of course he takes it out, no problem. And now we are moving on to Ashina, who is a dying old man, but he's still got a few tricks up his sleeve. Um, so here we see him go for the Ichimonji, which is unbolded flat with the umbrella, which I never really thought about, and then the grab attack is also deflected with the umbrellas as well, which is also something that I've never really considered doing. But that's, you know, that's why he's much better at the game than I am. So here we can see when Ongal goes for this sweep here, we can see that Ichin dodges out of the way. Which is something that he can do where if you attack him while he's in neutral, he'll step out of the way and counter with either uh, like a slicing counter strike or he'll attempt to grab you. Uh, so let's see the neutral dodge again right here. Okay, he does it. And then he goes for the grab. So we use the umbrella to counter that. And there goes the first health bar. Now the umbrella in the second phase is going to be crucial because there's a lot of fire attacks incoming, and a Lotus umbrella can deflect basically everything in the phase, such as the Ichimonji fire sweep that he does here. And so we're just going to see Onball calmly walking forward, use the umbrella, use the projected force to deal damage. And that's basically just how the rest of the fight goes. We just repeatedly using the umbrella and repeatedly get that damage in against teaching. And there we go. We successfully put him out of his misery. And now we're going to move on to the Room, the boss that guards the entrance to the Fountainhead Palace. So once again, we see uh, in this phase of the fight, the first phase, ongbal doesn't really do anything except for attack and deflect. Those are the main things that it does, except for the Mayfiri against the Disrupt, which the thrust of the Corpulent is not really as well telegraphed as other thrusts in the game are, so it's kind of hard to react with quickly to, but he does it very easily. He makes it look reveal basically, and he just keeps on going, deflecting the ultra rhythmic attacks that the monk has, and there goes the first health bar. And now we're gonna see him kind of seize the second phase by grappling up to the tree here, and you can deal a free aerial death blow. So you don't even have to see the second phase. And now in the third phase, we're gonna see him use his purple fume spark firework. Um, Along with the empowered mortal draw Tomoe to deal just massive damage all at once, kind of stun locking the boss, similar to the illusion. Um, and that's the fight. He makes it look incredibly easy. This boss is no joke, but he's able to take it out without breaking it as well. So now we're on to the divine dragon fight, but first we have to take on the old dragons of the tree, who are these old, sickly-looking dragons that kind of just pop up out of the ground and vomit everywhere. So what he's waiting for here, and why he's been attacking them, is he's waiting for them to do this free attack. And if you grapple up to one of these trees and do an aerial death blow, you'll do a massive, like, sweep that'll get rid of basically all of them. So now he's just gonna wait for more to pop out of the ground so that he can do another aerial death blow. And he's just gonna wait. There will be more and more just popping up, and then once he sees enough of them, he drops down and kills them with one hit. But now it's on to the longest fight in this montage, mainly because this fight is kind of choreographed. You can't really deal a lot of damage at the exact same time. But it's probably the most cinematic fight in the game, and honestly, just a super beautiful boss fight in general. To begin with this fight is that you have to grapple up the trees that have lightning, and then you can use that lightning to directly damage the divine dragon. We'll see him do it here after he uses Mortal Draw on the dragon unit. Uh, and already the dragon is very low on posture. And the divine dragon's attacks look scary, but in the actual game, they deal actually very little damage considering how uh, dangerous they look. Of course, getting hit by anything here for him was the instantly just end the game for him, but he is obviously not going to get hit, so we'll see him use the Mortal Draw again against the Divine Dragon. And then with its last lightning, you should trigger its next kind of stage, where it's going to pull out its sword and just use that to attack us instead of giving us freeze to shoot lightning at it from. And something happens here that I'm not entirely sure I got it right, but it seems that after deflecting all of these attacks, it'll go into this kind of thing where it shoots the diagonal flashes, and it seems like it ducks under one of them. Like, it is really cool, kind of looks quirk over the hitbox thing. And now after this deflecting the final, we seem to do a mid-air deflection there. After deflecting all of these final attacks from the Divine Dragon, we can give it one last shot with the lightning. Um, and that's it. That's the whole fight. Very beautiful fight and very well put together by the From Software team. Kind of a lower note at the end here when it says Gracious Gift of Tears. That's actually the name of the red mortal blade that we use to acquire the Divine Dragon's Tears. Uh, so that's kind of a cool time. And now on the Owl Father. Here we start off the phase by attacking him with an empowered mortal draw. And you'll notice that during Owl's perilous sweep attack that he does here, he will move diagonally, and we have to follow him if we want to jump on his head afterwards for the posture damage. So we'll see him do that here. He's going to go, he's going to throw some firecrackers and immediately do a thrust afterwards, which he, with ongbal, carries, and then during his firecracker combo, he just uses the umbrella and then projector's force to deal some damage to Al. And now that's the first phase gone. We're on to the second phase now, where he gains this ability to disappear in the owl form. And pop out again and attack us, but we just use the umbrella hand. It just takes damage. And now we're gonna see him do it again. We just do the exact same thing, rinse and repeat. And now he's gonna do his fire owl attack, where he just like throws it at us, and then every time after this attack, he will thrust, so you can always be carrying right after he throws the owl. And we do the same thing we did against Great Shinobi, where when he throws the one shuriken and does that massive like sweep, we use the umbrella. And after a few more deflects, this fight is over. And this boss is, I mean, extremely difficult. He has a lot of abilities in his arsenal, but ongbal is able to take him out with ease. Now on to another super long fight, this time against the Demon of Hatred, who has 3 health bars. We see him pop the Divine Confetti, which is a consumable that just increases your damage against enemies in general, but especially apparition type enemies like the Demon of Hatred. And this fight is controversial for, I think, a number of reasons, mainly because the boss doesn't really feel like a lot of the other bosses in the game. Along with the fact that the camera gets kind of janky at times since the boss is so much bigger than him. And we'll see that when the Demon of Hatred does his big jump, that ongbal will just jump over the fire and then immediately grapple to it to keep on hitting. So an interesting note here is that he only uses Divine Confetti for Phase 1, then for Phase 2 he uses both the Yashiriku's Trigger and Divine Confetti. And for the third phase he only uses the Yashiriku's Trigger, which is a bit of a strange decision. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know why he didn't just use Confetti and Trigger for all 3 of the phases. Maybe there's a particular reason. Um, but here we see him use the Confetti, use the Trigger, um, and now it's basically just rinse and repeat. Not much else to be said. Just run in, hit him in the, hit him in an interesting area, run around a bit, block his stomp, jump over the lead, and that is this whole boss fight basically. This boss fight is again these sort of late game bosses, and this boss is definitely extremely difficult, but he is just dancing around him, no problem. Makes it look super easy. And very quickly, we're going to be going into the third phase here. I think just a couple more hits to do it, and the Demon Bell and the Complaint Charmless definitely aren't helping, since this boss already has a lot of HP in boss room. And now he has a lot more thanks to those debuffs, such as taking taking him a really long time. But yeah, now we're on to the third phase. He eats the right for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but then he pops the Osprey's trigger, doesn't card more withdrawal. And we'll see him also use the Malcontent upgrade, the finger whistle prosthetic here, which will stun the Demon of Hatred for like a couple of seconds, I think, that you can safely get damage. And you can do this up to 3 times during the fight. And there we go. That's the Demon of Hatred taken out. And the only boss remaining is the very final boss of the game, which is Isshin the Sword Singer. But first, we have to fight his grandson, Genichiro. Again, another rematch. We block his black mortal blade attack with the purple umbrella, and then just use projected force. Same thing with his big combo, just carry his thrust afterwards. And after jumping onto his sweep attack and the carrying, we've killed Genichiro after a Makiri like 3 times more ongbal has in this boss gauntlet. So it's interesting that he actually doesn't. He actually chooses to deflect normally the King Prompt there, but he uses the umbrella against the Ichimonji and his Dragon Flash attack. Um, but the first phase will quickly be over after he deflects this Phoenix Frost, and then just Umbrella against the Ichimonji. And that's the first phase of 18 down. So he reapplies Yakuriku's trigger, uses the Tonto again. Um, Now, another interesting thing to note here is that after this big leaping spear attack, you would actually attack Ethan right afterwards to cancel him out of this like shotgun blast thing. But instead of doing that, he chooses to deflect this shotgun, which is a very interesting decision. Again, I'm not exactly sure why he does that, but I'm sure there's a reason. And then he jumps over that massive sweep, uses the umbrella against that hard, like compressed air sweep, uses the umbrella against his block, and then jumps the sweep again. So the umbrella is really seeing a lot of use in this fight. And after the 2-move combo, Isshin will always do his spear thrust, which you can always carry. And now, after a couple more deflect, he's free to go on to the third phase. And this time we're going to see the return of the Mist Raven Lightning Reversal, which he does here. And he's just going to use Dragon Flash while Isshin is down. Here we see him Mist Raven through the first one, and then use the umbrella against the second hit, which is very cool. A lot of actions from him. And we see him once again jump over the double sweep and use the umbrella against the charged sweep attack. And then we see him do a final Mist Raven Lightning Reversal and a Dragon Flash to finish off the thing. So yeah, that was the entirety of ongbal uh, bought Gauntlet. He did them all hitless and did them all extremely quickly. And these are not easy bosses. I don't think I would call a single boss in this game easy. And the fact that he made it uh, look so effortless is, I think, a testament to his skill. Now, if you liked more structured videos like this one, let me know. I'll make sure to make more of them. But yeah, thanks for watching.